Welcome, Facebook Live viewers. My name is Brad Bodis, and this is the weekly Bond and Bodis Law Office's Facebook Live. We appreciate you joining us again today. We want you to know that the Bond and Bodis Law Offices, which are located throughout Alabama and throughout Mississippi, are offering absolutely free initial consultations right now. At Bond and Bodis, we help people with money problems. And we have been doing so for over 30 years now throughout Alabama and Mississippi. You know, this has been a tough last year and a half. We know a lot of you, have gone through periods of unemployment, may have had issues with mortgage payments. These mortgage forbearances are coming to an end. Certainly eviction moratoriums are coming to an end. So we know a lot of you are facing financial challenges and we want to help. There's no time better than right now to reach out for help. We're doing our initial consultations from the safety of your own home or your own office. We'll do them by video like I'm appearing today. We'll do them by telephone. However you're comfortable, but we just want to give you a chance to get some advice, to know what your options are. Don't wait, until you're facing a foreclosure. Don't wait until you're facing a repossession of your automobile or God forbid, a wage garnishment or a tax levy. All of those things are things that we should be able to help you with, but the earlier you get to us, the more good we're going to be able to do. And remember that the consultation we offer, it's going to be with an experienced attorney, and it's going to be absolutely free. We're just going to talk to you, try to learn more about your particular situation and help you. And when I say help you, that's important because, we're not one size fits all. We want to know what's going on in your life, with your family, in your situation. We want to offer advice that's customized for you. So in today's Facebook Live, we're going to talk about an issue that's kind of near and dear to me. We're going to talk about some of the common myths that exist when it comes to bankruptcy. I've been able to help people with bankruptcy options now for well over 30 years. I've represented thousands of people, and I can tell you that just about everybody that comes to see me is somebody that never dreamt they were going to come to see a bankruptcy attorney. And they had a lot of negative perceptions about bankruptcy and the bankruptcy process. A lot of them just aren't true. So today we're going to go through my top 10, and there are a lot of myths, but these are my top 10 myths about bankruptcy. And then we're going to try to, separate truth from fiction. So the myths that I know of that are out there that are important to me. Number one, if you file bankruptcy, you lose everything you have. Number two, filing bankruptcy means you can't get credit. This is, some people are going to say for 10 years, some people are going to say for 7 years, but there's just a perception that you can't get credit for somewhere between 7 and 10 years following the bankruptcy. Number three, bankruptcy can't ever get rid of back taxes. Number four, foreclosure is better than bankruptcy. Number five, you're going to be fired if you file bankruptcy, or you're going to lose your job. Number six, everybody's going to know if you file for bankruptcy. Number seven, if you're married, both husband and wife need to file for bankruptcy. Number eight, you can just file bankruptcy on your business and not impact yourself individually. Number nine, bankruptcy leads to marital problems or to divorce. And number 10, Filing bankruptcy is a sign that you can't manage your own finances or that you're somehow a financial failure. So I'm going to go through these myths one at a time. And again, I'm going to tell you what I believe to be the truth concerning each one of them based upon the years that I've been doing this. So number one, we talked about if you file bankruptcy, you'll lose everything you have. Folks, that's simply not true. I've said this many, many times. In the thousands of bankruptcy cases I've filed for individuals over the last several decades, I could count on one hand the number of times where somebody lost a piece of property that they didn't intend to lose when they filed bankruptcy. So let me explain that. When you file bankruptcy, the law allows you to keep or protect certain property. For instance, in Alabama, you can protect, and the legal term is exempt. You can exempt just under $17,000 of equity in your home. Now, it's not just any real estate, it's your homestead. And the reason I say just under $17,000 is because in Alabama, that amount adjusts every several years. Right now, it's somewhere between $16,500 and $17,000. Better yet, if a husband and wife do choose to file bankruptcy together, they get to double that exemption if they're both owners of the home. You're also allowed to protect certain items of personal property, but a good bankruptcy attorney, and certainly in our office, we're going to look at all of your property. We're going to let you know what assets you can protect and what you may not be able to protect if you file a bankruptcy. And if we project that you might own too much property, that you may lose something if you file a straight Chapter 7 bankruptcy, we'll talk to you about how you can do a reorganization type bankruptcy. Typically, that's going to be a Chapter 13 for individuals. But in a reorganization type bankruptcy, instead of giving up any of your property, you pay your creditors a certain amount over a period of between 36 and 60 months so that you can save your property. But again, a good bankruptcy attorney is going to look at all of your property and advise you before your bankruptcy is filed if there's any risk of losing any item of property. We're absolutely going to do that at the Bond and Bodas law offices. So if you have concerns about whether or not you can protect certain property if you file a bankruptcy, let us talk to you about it. Let's look at what you own and what exemptions are available in Alabama or in Mississippi. And the exemptions are different by state and how those will apply to what you own. But you're not going to lose all of your property. And if your bankruptcy is done right, you're not going to lose anything that you don't intend to lose. And when I say intend to lose, maybe a situation, and this may be particularly true after COVID, where your income today is much less than it was 2 or 3 years ago. So you may no longer be able to make the mortgage payment that you qualified for several years ago, or you may no longer be able to afford the car that you financed several years ago. Well, we can intentionally surrender that property as part of your bankruptcy and get rid of the underlying debt in most circumstances. So there are situations where you are intentionally going to want to surrender property, but that's not going to happen if you don't intend for that to happen. Number 2, filing bankruptcy means you can't get credit for 10 years. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard this over the years. Just about everyone that comes into one of our offices, most of the people that I consult with personally, when I ask them What worries them about bankruptcy? They'll say something like, well, my credit will be ruined and I won't be able to get credit for 7 years, or I won't be able to get credit for 10 years. Here's the truth, folks. If you file for bankruptcy protection, the fact that you filed bankruptcy can be reported on your credit for up to 10 years. The Fair Credit Reporting Act provides that a bankruptcy filing can be reported on your credit for up to 10 years. But that by no means indicates that you can't get credit. In fact, most of our clients begin rebuilding their credit shortly after their bankruptcy is filed and are able to get new credit almost immediately after their discharge, when their bankruptcy is finalized. And in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that's only 4 or 5 months after you file. Reorganization bankruptcy, it's going to be a little bit further down the line. But, whereas 30 years ago, I spent a lot of time helping my clients try to rebuild credit following bankruptcy. We still do that. But a bigger concern for me today is I don't want people to get into credit problems again right after filing bankruptcy, because credit today more than ever is readily available to people immediately after a bankruptcy discharge. And you may wonder, well, why is that? Why is somebody going to lend me money after I've gone through a bankruptcy? Well, look at it from the perspective of whoever it is that's evaluating whether or not you're a good loan risk. So say I'm facing a whole lot of debt. I can't pay my credit cards as they come due. I'm behind on my mortgage. I may have had a car repossessed, but I've never filed bankruptcy. And I go to a local lender and I apply for a loan. Now that lender's going to look at me and they're going to say, why would I lend money to Brad? Number one, he can't pay all of the bills he has today. And number two, if I lend money to him today, he may file bankruptcy on all of us next month. But if I go to that same lender after my bankruptcy's over, I've gotten rid of most of that debt that I can't pay, and I'm either going to be unable or unlikely, certainly, to file another bankruptcy in a short period of time. So I'm going to be in a much better position to pay that lender immediately after my bankruptcy than I would be when I'm overwhelmed with debt and have never sought bankruptcy protection. Our clients typically start getting pre-approved credit card offers, letters from local automobile dealerships offering financing shortly after their bankruptcy is filed. So as opposed to being concerned with whether or not you're going to be able to get credit, what we want you to be concerned with is not getting into credit problems again following your bankruptcy. So as you rebuild your credit, we'll help you to do it responsibly and help you rebuild that credit score quickly. The third myth, bankruptcy can't get rid of taxes. Okay, here's what the law is. The law is that taxes are generally not dischargeable in bankruptcy, but there are some significant exceptions. Typically, if the taxes are at least 3 years old, have been assessed for a period of time, and you didn't commit any kind of fraud to avoid paying the taxes. So say you had a job and they weren't taking money out of your paycheck, and at the end of the year, you had this big tax bill. You filed your tax return. You showed that you owed back taxes, but you simply weren't able to pay your taxes that year. That happens fairly often. And we, of course, encourage you to be completely honest when filing your tax returns. But if you file your returns properly and the requisite amount of time has passed, and there are a number of other factors, don't just assume that based upon the age of the taxes that they will become dischargeable. A good attorney is going to do a thorough evaluation, review your tax transcripts with the Internal Revenue Service, make sure you qualify. But in many instances, we can get rid of back income taxes, and we do it regularly. In addition, if the taxes aren't dischargeable, which means you can't get rid of them, again, you can do a reorganization type bankruptcy to pay those taxes back without worrying about a lien being recorded against your home or your wages being levied. You can pay them back normally at a rate that you can afford. But we can help you evaluate all of those options. But taxes are often dischargeable in bankruptcy. And even if not dischargeable, there are still bankruptcy options available. The next myth: foreclosure is better than bankruptcy. I'm not going to say that a foreclosure or a bankruptcy is necessarily good, but I can tell you this: a bankruptcy can stop a foreclosure and keep you in your home. A lot of people are behind on mortgage payments right now. In fact, I've seen studies that say that a larger percentage of homeowners in the United States are behind on their mortgage payments today than at any time since the Great Depression. Now, during COVID, a lot of those mortgage payments were put into forbearances, and there's been a moratorium against foreclosures on most mortgages. There have been some exceptions, but most government-backed type mortgages, there has been a moratorium on foreclosures. Well, that moratorium either has ended or will end shortly, depending on where you live and the type of mortgage you have. And if you haven't worked out some sort of agreement with your mortgage company as to how you're going to catch up on any missed mortgage payments, entered into a modification agreement, then that mortgage company has the right to foreclose on your home. And in both Alabama and Mississippi, where we practice, that foreclosure process is quick. There's no court involved. It's a non-judicial foreclosure. You can lose your home to foreclosure very quickly. And if your home is foreclosed on, it's going to be a significant negative mark on your credit. It's going to be there for at least 7 years, if not longer. With a bankruptcy, we can help you save your home. Through a Chapter 13 reorganization bankruptcy, we can help you catch up on the payments you're behind on and stop that foreclosure sale. Or, as I said earlier, if you intend to surrender that home, that you can no longer afford it, we can help you arrange to do that in a systematic manner where your stuff isn't just put out on the street, but that your home can be transitioned back to the mortgage company in an orderly manner and give you an opportunity to get out from any resulting debt and rebuild your credit. So don't just assume that a foreclosure is going to be better than a bankruptcy. Talk to a bankruptcy attorney as soon as you realize you've got a problem. As soon as you realize that your mortgage payments are behind, reach out to us. We'll help you explore your options, see if we can help you stay in your home. But we certainly can stop the foreclosure, at least in the short term, and hopefully avoid it altogether so that you and your family can stay in your home. Next myth: you're going to be fired if you file for bankruptcy. So I'm going to address this myth in 2 ways. The first one, I'm just going to give you some practical advice. In addition to being an attorney, I'm an employer. I employ a number of people that work with me to help me represent the clients that come to us for assistance. We've got a great team of people. I know when somebody that I work with is under stress. I know when they're unable to sleep at night, when they may be having marital problems. And I can tell you that that particular employee is not going to be able to do their best job if they're dealing with stress and anxiety. And if they're behind on their bills, if they can't make their mortgage payment, if they can't make their car payment, they're not going to be able to do a good job at work. On the other hand, if they seek bankruptcy protection and they get things under control and they can get that stress alleviated, they're going to be a much better employee. And I can tell you from talking to many, many, many people over the years that that's the perception of most employers. There are also laws that say that an employer cannot discriminate against an employee because that employee has sought bankruptcy protection. But again, I'm going to tell you just from my experience, having represented individuals for the last several decades in Alabama and Mississippi, very, very, very few people have any problems with employment, either during or following a bankruptcy proceeding. The problems, if they have them, are before they get help, before they reach out for assistance, when they're going through the stress and the anxiety and just the pressure that not being able to pay your bills can have. So don't let that keep you from seeking advice. That's a myth. Bankruptcy in just about every situation is only going to have a positive impact on your ability to do a good job at work and to maintain your employment. The next myth: everyone will know you filed bankruptcy. What I tell people is this. I have filed many bankruptcies over the years for people families I go to church with, parents of children that my kids went to school with as they were growing up, people that are prominent in our community. And very, very few times does anybody become aware of that bankruptcy filing. Bankruptcy is a matter of public record. But unless somebody goes down to the bankruptcy court and does a search or pulls your credit report, which they can only do with your permission, they're not going to learn that you filed bankruptcy. Hundreds of thousands of people file for bankruptcy in our country every year. They're walking around, that there's no, mark on them. They're not wearing a shirt that says I filed for bankruptcy protection. I do remember years ago that in some small towns, the newspaper would publish the people that had sought bankruptcy protection, but that's very, very rare today. And certainly in the large metropolitan areas in which we practice, I'm not aware of any publications that still publish bankruptcy filings. The only way somebody's going to know that you sought bankruptcy protection is you're going to have a whole lot more peace of mind. There's going to be a tremendous weight off your shoulders. That stress, that anxiety is going to be gone. You may seem happier. You may come across as somebody more engaged with life. Your marriage may be better because you and your wife have worked together to get out from underneath debt. You've taken advantage. You've utilized the laws that exist in our country that give you, as an American citizen, the opportunity to seek a fresh start, to seek bankruptcy protection, and to start over. It's an important right that we have. There was a time when people that couldn't pay their bills were thrown into a debtor's prison or somehow, ostracized. Our founding fathers, the people that write our laws, have determined that's not what we want. We want to give people a fresh start, a chance to start over, an opportunity to re-engage in society. And that's why bankruptcy laws exist in our country. But if you're going to seek bankruptcy protection, you need to do it with the advice and counsel of somebody you trust and somebody that has experience in this area. But everybody is not going to know that you've sought bankruptcy protection. In fact, even your initial consultation with our office and everything you do with one of our attorneys is confidential. All of our staff know that all of the people that work in our offices know that your information is confidential, and we're going to do everything we can do to protect it for you. Next myth: both husband and wife must file bankruptcy at the same time. It's not true. And furthermore, if a husband files bankruptcy, it's not necessarily going to negatively impact the wife or vice versa. There are situations where it makes sense for a husband and wife to file bankruptcy together, but there are a lot of situations where it doesn't make sense, where all of the debt is only in one spouse's name. Sometimes it makes sense to keep that other spouse's credit just as clean as possible so that they can work together to rebuild credit based upon that positive information following the bankruptcy. Now, as I said earlier, it's not as hard as it once was to rebuild credit following bankruptcy, but if we can keep one spouse's credit completely clean, that's going to help things even more. There are times it makes sense to file together if the debt is joint. If we need to protect assets that may be held in a certain manner, property you own. But there's no requirement that a husband and wife file together, and it is not necessarily, if done properly, negatively going to impact the non-filing spouse's credit. So again, we need to analyze your situation. We need to know what's best for you in your marriage. Husband and wife should address these issues together, in my opinion. And we like to talk to you both. But who files, how the bankruptcy moves forward, if at all, is something we decide based upon your personal facts, your personal circumstances. I'm going to take just a little detour here and break away from these myths for just a second. If people have just joined in, my name is Brad Bodis. This is the Bond & Bodis Law Office's Facebook Live, which we try to do every week here on Facebook. These videos live on our Facebook page, and they're also on our firm's website. So, often somebody sees one of these videos and they say, boy, I wish, my brother could have seen it, or I wish my wife could have seen this video. That information was good. It would have been helpful to so-and-so. Please share these videos. Provide a link to our website where all of these videos reside. We want to make this information available to just as many people as possible. That's why we do these. We want to be helpful. And at this time, as I said earlier, all of our offices in both Alabama and Mississippi, and we help people throughout both states, we're offering absolutely free initial consultations. Those consultations will be confidential, and they'll be with an experienced attorney. We'll do them from the safety of your home or the safety of your office. You don't have to come in to see us. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel safe, but we want to help you. And we need to talk to you. You need to reach out to us so that we can help you. The more proactive you can be, the further out in front of any problems you may have that we can talk to you, the more good we can do. So folks, don't stick your head in the sand. If you're behind on mortgage payments, if you're behind on car payments, if you're just treading water with your credit cards and you need some advice and you want to know what your options are, please reach out. Give us a call or go to our website, learn more about what we offer, and then we have a form on our website where you can just reach out to us for help, and we'll arrange for a consultation with one of our attorneys. But again, the Bond & Bodis Law Offices are here to help. Please let us know if we can be of assistance to you. Today, we're talking about common myths that pertain to bankruptcy. And I want to dispel many of these myths because it's so important for people to know that a lot of the things they think they know about bankruptcy, that they may have heard from their cousin's neighbor's brother, that they're not necessarily true. So we've been through a number of myths. The next myth I want to address is that your business can file a bankruptcy and it not impact you. Many people say, well, I formed a corporation, or I formed an LLC, and I've done that to operate my business, and I did that, and now the business fails, so I just want my business to file a bankruptcy. If we could do that, folks, in every situation, it would be great. But here's what we find. Most entrepreneurs, most people that go out to start their own business, their business is new and it doesn't have any credit of its own. So when the business incurs debt, it may be signing a store lease, it may be signing some other type of lease, maybe a restaurant. The landlord is going to require the business owner to personally guarantee that debt. You may go out and get credit cards that have your business's name on the credit card. What we find is in almost every instance that credit card is not truly in the business's name. It may have, displayed on the credit card the business's name, but the credit's issued to the individual, to the business owner. A lot of other circumstances where business debt is personally guaranteed by that entrepreneur that's gone out to start the business. Unfortunately, not every business is successful, and a lot of business owners have struggled over the last year and a half with shutdown orders, with people working from home. The whole landscape has changed. So what you need to know is that a good bankruptcy attorney, a good experienced bankruptcy attorney, is going to help you to understand what liabilities are the responsibility of your business and which could impact you individually, and help you seek the type bankruptcy relief that's available. Something I feel compelled to tell business owners at this point, people that are struggling right now, one of the reasons we have uniform bankruptcy laws in our country is because our free enterprise system here in the United States of America requires people to go out and take chances. We try to build businesses. We try to go out and take risks, hire other people, help them better their lives, build up capital. That type system, a free enterprise type system, wouldn't work if the bankruptcy safety net wasn't available. People aren't going to go out and take chances, try to build businesses, if they didn't know that that bankruptcy safety net was there. And our government wants new businesses. Our government wants you to flourish and to do as well as you can. That's why the bankruptcy safety net exists. So again, if you're operating your own business, the obligations of the business may or may not, unfortunately, more often they do, flow through to you individually as the business owner. A good bankruptcy attorney is going to evaluate fully which of those obligations belong to the business alone and which flow through to you individually, and help you decide how to address those debts. We will do that for you at the Bond & Bodas Law Offices. Again, please be proactive. If you're operating a business and the business is not doing as well as it was, and it's impacting your ability to pay your bills, reach out to us and let us help you explore what your potential options are going forward before you get into trouble. We can do more good for you the further in advance you get to us for advice and for consultation. The next myth, and this is a big one. A lot of people think that bankruptcy and divorce go hand in hand, that money problems lead to divorce. It's true that they can. I think the number one cause of divorce from the family law, the divorce attorney friends that I have, they'll tell you that the number one cause of divorce, financial issues, not being able to pay your bills, arguing with one another about which bills need to be paid or why y'all are unable to pay your bills. What I can tell you is the best thing you can do if you're having financial problems as a married couple is to talk to an attorney and see if you can work through those financial problems alone. I've had numerous couples sent to me by pastors at churches that do marital counseling. That wasn't, the case several decades back. It is today. Counselors, pastors realize that if we can help a couple overcome the financial challenges that they're having, that very often the marriage will survive. A husband becomes a better husband when he's got control of his finances. A wife becomes a better wife. The husband and wife become better parents. The family is able to move forward because the husband and wife did the responsible thing and they sought out advice together as to how to deal with the debt that's putting pressure on their marriage. So financial problems can lead to marital problems. They often do lead to marital problems, but bankruptcy can put a stop to those financial problems. Seeking the advice of a professional. I keep saying bankruptcy, but a good bankruptcy attorney, certainly in our offices, the first thing we're going to do is try to keep you out of bankruptcy, try to help you come up with a plan. If you do need to seek bankruptcy protection, we're going to help you to do that right, protect the assets that you have and that you worked for. But the biggest asset you have is your marriage and your family. And that's what we want to help you protect. And we can, we have, and we will at the Bonnie Bodas Law Offices. If you and your husband, you and your wife are dealing with financial stress, please reach out for help. Know what your options are. The last myth that I'm going to address today, number 10, is that filing bankruptcy is evidence that you're a bad money manager, that you're irresponsible with your finances. Everybody has this negative stereotype in their mind of who is a bankrupt, of who is a typical bankrupt. Some deadbeat, somebody that intentionally ran out and ran up debt knowing that they couldn't pay it back. Folks, that does not represent the people that come to me for help. The vast majority of the people that come to me for help are there because it's not because of any fault of their own. They haven't necessarily done anything wrong. Maybe they got sick and they were unable to work, so they were unable to pay their bills. Maybe they were hurt and they were unable to work and they were unable to pay their bills. Maybe their employer that worked for many years shut down, moved their jobs overseas, and that good paying job that you had and relied upon to take care of your family disappeared. There's all kinds of reasons people get into debt. We talked about one of them earlier. You went out and tried to start your own business. You had a good business plan. You worked and you did everything right. You couldn't have worked harder, but then COVID happened. And business slowed down. Business went away completely in many circumstances, and you weren't able to meet your obligations. You weren't able to meet the bills and the debt that piled up with your business. There's no stereotypical person that has financial problems. My practice, I tell younger attorneys that go to work with us, there's never a boring day in any of our offices, because everybody that comes to see us is an individual. Everybody that comes to see us has their own story. And I think I said at the beginning of this episode, no one ever dreamt they'd be reaching out to a bankruptcy attorney for help. But if you're in a situation, maybe you've been sick, maybe you've been injured, maybe your employer shut down and the job you had that provided retirement and benefits and a good income had gone away. Maybe you try to start your own business and COVID just shut it down. Whatever it is, whatever's putting that financial stress on you, know that options are available. But if you're going to take that step, if you're going to seek bankruptcy protection, it's a big step. And you don't want to just do it haphazardly. Do the research. Talk to other people. Talk to other attorneys. Find out what bankruptcy attorneys have been around for a period of time. Find out which bankruptcy attorneys have a good reputation with the court and with other attorneys in town. Meet the attorney. Take advantage of the free consultation. Ask questions. Make sure you're treated with dignity and respect. At the Bond & Bodas Law Offices, we want to help you, and we want to help you just like you are a family member. We're going to be sympathetic to your particular issues. We're going to do everything we can to help you get to a better place. And we want you to be able to save your marriage, save your family. We want you to feel secure going forward. Folks, I wanted to address some of these important myths today. All of this will be on our Facebook page. It's on our website at bondandbodas.com. If you know somebody that needs assistance, or perhaps you need assistance, you're just not sure how you're going to deal with money issues going forward, please reach out for help. Please reach out for help. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait for that wage garnishment. Don't wait until your home is foreclosed on or you're on the eve of foreclosure. Reach out for help. It's confidential and it's free, and we will let you know what your options are so that you just feel a little bit better about moving forward and addressing the financial issues you may have. The Bond & Bodas Law Offices are located throughout Alabama and Mississippi. We're offering absolutely free initial consultations. We'll do them from the safety of your own home or office, wherever you feel comfortable, but we want to help you. On behalf of all of us at the Bond & Bodas Law Offices, God bless. Happy Labor Day. And if we can help you, please reach out. We'll see you again next week. Thank you, folks.